Hello, everybody. This is Tim here again. Here another movie review. This time for The Suicide Squad, not Suicide Squad Part Two or Suicide Two. Just The Suicide Squad. They added "the" on the title. Oh boy, you know it's got to be good. But yeah, The Suicide Squad is directed by James Gunn, who pretty much took over for the next film for David Ayer. Now I'll just go ahead and get into it. I'm a James Gunn fan. I like James Gunn. I like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I liked Slither. I liked most of his other stuff, like Super and some other stuff. And I'll just go ahead and say it. I liked this movie. I liked it. It's probably, I don't know if it's the second best quality wise of the DCEU so far, but it's my second personal favorite of the DCEU so far. I watched it on streaming. I would give it a 4 out of 4. I thought it was a great, fun time, but it's not flawless. It has problems. It's not as good as the critics are making it out to be with the 97% critic score or whatever of how many of them liked it. Like, it's not quite that good. The 80 something percent like audience score is much more accurate, I believe, in terms of the quality of this movie. I'll just go ahead and say it. This movie is extremely jokey. It is a comedy. This is a James Gunn film. Really, I went back and watched like the first Suicide Squad parts of it, and really that film isn't as bad as I thought it was. I remember really not liking that one. Watching it again and seeing it, my problem with it is it didn't really feel like a Suicide Squad movie, and really this doesn't either. Like the first film, watching it again feels like a David Ayer movie. This one feels like a James Gunn movie. The only difference is this one is more cohesive. Um, but yeah, both have like world-ending threats. In the first one, it was a magic girl or whatever, the Enchantress. In this one, it's a giant starfish. Really, the first is a David Ayer movie. This is a James Gunn movie. Neither one of these represent what I would expect a Suicide Squad movie to be. And I think if you're judging either one of these based off wanting an adaptation of the comics of the like the true spirit of the comics, I don't think either one captures it. To be honest, like my ideal Suicide Squad movie is something more like Con Air or something, or like a bunch of prisoners having to like team up or whatever, and more like hard boiled, but not over the top cartoony like this one, and not like so street thuggish and colorful hot topicish like that first one. In all honesty, I think the first movie is good as just a David Ayer blockbuster with a messy story. For what it is, I think it's good, dumb fun. This movie is much better written and more cohesive. But with that said, the first movie, we've never actually seen the real cut, the David Ayer cut. What we saw was the studio cut, but that's all I can compare it to. So that first movie is really messy in the story department, but it's still a dumb, fun David Ayer blockbuster movie. It's not really a Suicide Squad movie, though, not an actual adaptation of the comics. And it's the same thing with this one. This doesn't really feel like Suicide Squad either to me. This feels like a James Gunn comedy action flick. It's filled with over the top blood and just constant F words. Now, I'm not bothered by constant F words, but some people might get bored with that, with the constant cussing, because it is like nonstop. And it does get to be a little old. It will get to be old for some people because the movie is so goofy and lighthearted. It's like dark comedy. I was laughing. You got like some things in this movie did surprise me, and I know they were put there deliberately. One thing about this movie I will say is James Gunn does certain stuff in here to like deliberately throw off the audience. He puts stuff in here to where you won't see it coming, and then it's kind of fun at first, but then he does it over and over, and it does get kind of boring. Like later on when you get towards the end of the movie, when Joel Kinnaman is Rick Flag, who's back, and same woman's back as Amanda Waller. They Viola Davis. They try to like save or whatever Harley Quinn, and she ends up saving herself, and it's over the top like cartoony, hyper stylized James Gunn scene with like Tweety birds and flowers and stuff going by. You didn't need that. That was too much. I didn't like that. Another thing in here is the villain is pretty lame. And once again, it's just a world conquering star creature, Starro the Conqueror, or whatever, which I know is from the comics. I remember it in like a Justice League episode, or maybe it was Batman Beyond, where it was like Superman fighting it or whatever. I remember this character. I'm not really sure if this character is good enough for a world ending plot for a movie. It's just kind of a basic giant monster. But the Enchantress wasn't very good either in the first movie. But yeah, as a James Gunn film, this is still great. The pluses outweigh the minuses. You get to the start of the film, you got like the Suicide Squad team that they're building up. This guy named Weasel, and you got Michael Rooker in a cameo who just gets his head blown off by Amanda Waller. And you got Pete Davidson who's there as the Blackguard or whatever, and just a cameo, and he gets basically shot to death because he rats everybody out to the bad guy army guys. Another thing, there's like this whole rebel plot in this movie with the actress. I think her name is like Alicia Braga or whatever, who was also in the movie Predators. Her character is pointless. She adds nothing to the movie. And she just pops up like every now and then. This movie is also overlong, and when she does pop up, you kind of forget that she's there. Um, Ratcatcher 2, the chick who plays her is really hot, and her character is really likable. And honestly, I think that I would be okay with just a low budget spinoff movie about her, to be honest. She was pretty cool. I liked her. She's my favorite character of the movie, and how she controls rats and lets this one like sit on her shoulder and she like pets on it and stuff is really cute. And you got Idris Elba, who's like plays Bloodshot, I think, who's like got like this robot suit. This movie's much better balanced than the first one. In the first movie, it only really focused on Harley and Deadshot by Will Smith, or Deadshot and Harley. This film is much more of a team focused movie. Like everybody gets really their moment here, who's like a main character. Polka Dot Man is pretty funny here. The guy that plays Polka Dot Man, I recognize him from the Dark Knight movie. He played like the crazy guy who was like working for the Joker or whatever. He's pretty funny. I like this actor. He was also in the Gotham episode, but yeah, he's cool as Polka Dot Man. He made me laugh. But it's really some of the comedy doesn't really work. Like how the dude like sees his mom everywhere or whatever. It never explains why. It's like is he's just crazy, so he just sees his mom everywhere and every person looks like his mom. That's a little much. You didn't really need that. But at the end though, when he sees like the giant star creature, it's like 5 billion foot tall and it looks like a giant version of his mom. I did find that funny. Um, and pretty much you got like this guy named the Thinker who's working on this illegal government experiments who's making mind control things from this alien starro creature. It's like making people into zombies or whatever. And the Suicide Squad are sitting there to stop them, but really they're there just to make sure that none of the information gets out that the American government was actually in on this, and Amanda Waller knows about this. John Cena's there as Peacemaker. He's really good in the movie. John Cena surprised me here. Once again, John Cena is starting to surprise me with his acting. He is getting better. He's good in certain movies. He was really bland in Fast and the Furious 9, but so was pretty much everybody almost in that movie. That movie just wasn't very good. It was. I gave it like a 2.5 score out of 4. I thought it was all right, enjoyable, bad entertainment, but it was still bad movie, and John Cena was just kind of wasted in that. Here, he's able to have much more fun, and this being a comedy, not all the jokes work. Some jokes are hit or miss, and the team bonds a little bit too fast. Like Rick Flag is like, we never leave a man behind. We got to go save Harley, even though they can just get out of there. And that doesn't. I don't really buy that, especially if we're like the Rick Flag in this movie doesn't really seem like he would really care enough to go back and get Harley. And if we're taking this in continuity with the first movie, it still doesn't seem like he would care enough to go back and get Harley. This is still in continuity with the first movie, but it's a reboot movie. As at the same time, it's meant to stand on its own, to where you're not supposed to compare it in style or tone or anything compared to the first movie. It's its own thing, and I don't really buy that he would go back to save Harley, who gets captured or whatever. Another thing is Harley is not in a lot of this movie. Like Margaret Robbie is like in a lot of the trailers and stuff, but she ain't in a lot of this movie. This movie feels long. It felt long. I'm not sure how long exactly it was, but it felt long. And Harley disappears for like huge chunks of this flick. And it's not that I have a problem with it. I like that it's more of a team movie to give the other characters more time to shine instead of just a Harley, jerking on film or whatever, where it's just all Harley all the time. But it really did surprise me that Harley is like almost barely in the flick until the climax. But she's in it a decent amount, but nowhere near what I expected. And you get like this other subplot or whatever that comes out of nowhere, where they're like this dude who's a member of the bad guys team, is like this good looking guy, like is in love with Harley and wants to marry her or something. It's like totally out of nowhere. And then she just like has sex with him, and then she shoots him because she doesn't want to kill children or whatever. That whole subplot just came out of nowhere and had no place in this movie, and was just there. It felt like it was just put there because they needed something for Harley to do because she was separated from the team for so long. This movie could have easily have been shortened. They should have had Harley like rescued and joined back with the team way earlier than what they did. Another thing is the bonding of the characters. It's still a little forced here, just like it was in the first movie. They bond a little bit too fast. Another thing is Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang. He's great as Captain Boomerang. He shows up here for just the beginning as in a team with Harley, and he pretty much just gets killed, gets blown up, and the whole team does. I like the surprise of the whole team getting killed because you don't know that's coming. And then the secondary team with Idris Elba is the one that's going to be the star. I like that idea, but at the same time, some of these characters were kind of interesting. I would have liked to have seen more of them, like Michael Rooker's character and other people. I would have liked to have seen more of these actors. And Jai Courtney, he was kind of wasted. Like I like Jai Courtney, and he has. It's just like when you get an actor on screen who has a certain like likability. Yeah, killing him off can be surprising, but at the same time, it can also feel like a waste of that actor or character. Like Jai Courtney is pretty bad in most of the things he's in, but as Captain Boomerang, dude is great. He should have stuck around. I felt like that was a little bit of a waste. He That was a little bit of a misstep. I would have liked more of him and Michael Rooker. But yeah, you get the action scenes in here are really fun with how bloody they are. I didn't even know it was Stallone at first as the King Shark or whatever, but when I started recognizing his voice, I was like, "Hey, it's Stallone!" It was so funny. He keeps going num nums, wanting to eat everybody and all that. That was hilarious. And when he's like trying to eat Ratcatcher, and he's like, and she's like, "I'm friend," and he's like, "Me not eat friend" or whatever. It's like. It's pretty funny. I like that. And then later on in the movie, like at the end, he's in the big building or whatever where the bad guys are, and he sees this big tank with all these little mutant sea creatures in it or something, and he's like, "Friend!" And then they bust out at the end. They all start like biting the hell out of him. That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny. Like I said, this doesn't feel like the Suicide Squad comics, and neither did the David Ayer one. These both feel like their own thing. This is a James Gunn movie through and through. And the comedy here, mostly I found funny, pretty funny. I like John Cena here, and I like the surprise of him being like a villain at the end, where he is like so obsessed with wanting to kill anybody for the government to protect America. He's willing to kill as many Americans, as many innocent people as possible, if it means protecting the U.S. government. So he's like a pretty much a crazy patriot, and so he like betrays them because there's this file or whatever that Rick Flag finds out that has like government files on it that shows that the Americans were working with this program as well, killing innocent people and children, and by using them in this star alien program. And he tries to like Rick Flag wants to use it to like turn it into the press and all that, but John Cena wants to get it and protect it because he's obsessed with America, and he ends up having to like kill Rick Flag. And that was a surprising death. I like that. I like that they took Rick Flag out. I like Joe Kinnaman in this movie. I liked him. In the last one, he was okay. In this one, I liked him better. But I did like the surprise of his death. That was cool. I like that. And then John Cena gets like shot down by Bloodsport or whatever, or maybe Bloodshot. I'm not sure what the guy's name exactly was. Idris Elba, but he shoots him down with this cool like bullet time scene or whatever, where his bullet like goes through John Cena's bullet, and John Cena's like, "How'd you do that?" And he's like, "Smaller bullets." That was funny. He takes John Cena down. You think John Cena's dead, but spoiler alert: bonus scene after the credits, he's still alive. I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, they're fighting the big star creature, and Polka Dot Man is still there, and he's kind of fun having him around. I kind of liked him. But then he gets squished by the big starfish creature after he shoots it, like disintegrates part of its leg. He pretty much like shoots Polka Dots out. For people that don't know, Polka Dot Man is like an old school Batman villain from way back who's never been in any of the media really until now. But yeah, it was really funny seeing him there, and the actor did a good job, and he just ends up getting squished by the big starfish creature. But that was kind of a shame for me because I was really starting to warm up to that character. But Harley Quinn like takes this javelin she got off this dude or whatever whose name was Javelin from the beginning of the movie, and she jumps inside the creature's eye, the big star's eye, and as it stabs it through the eye with it, and as the creature is like being destroyed by all these rats that Ratcatcher 2 summoned or whatever, it's getting ate from the inside, and you get to see all this blood and stuff as Harley Quinn's like floating around inside of it like she's in outer space or something, or like 2001: A Space Odyssey, and then the creature falls down. She survives. Pretty much Harley Quinn, Idris Elba, King Shark, and Ratcatcher are the ones that live. Well, and John Cena if you count him, but he was after credits. But yeah, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. Well, one last thing, like Amanda Waller starts like going crazy. She doesn't care about any of the humans like getting killed as long as they got like the information on the drive, which is weird to me. Like she wouldn't want them to stop the Star Creature because it's going to be a worldwide threat. Because after it's done with this country, it's going to move on to other places. I guess maybe their plan was we'll just nuke it or whatever. But I don't know. That seems kind of risky to not take it out when you can because it could get away. But anyway, yeah, I didn't totally buy that. But yeah, at the end, they Idris Elba like threatens to like put the information out in the press if Amanda Waller or Viola Davis doesn't like let him go, and she agrees and lets him go, and they get away. So it's pretty much a happy ending for the what's left of the team. I kind of like that. And Idris Elba's character is afraid of rats in the movie, which is pretty funny because he develops this slightly forced like relationship with the Ratcatcher 2 girl. And because she talks about how she loves her dad and all that, and he kind of sees her as like a daughter figure. And at the end, he's like in the helicopter and they're flying away, and one of the rat that the girl has through the whole movie like gets on his knee or whatever, and he's like starts petting on it. He's conquered his fear, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. And then you get one scene like right after the title where it says "The Suicide Squad" with this character named the Weasel, who was like at the beginning of the movie, who like pretty much just drowned when they jumped in the water to go on a mission. Come to find out, he's still alive, and he just barfs up the water and takes off running into the weeds. That was pretty funny. I like that. That was a good joke. That's what made me bump the movie up to 4. All in all, oh yeah, the after credit scene. When you get to the after credit scene, John Cena's still alive. I watched this movie with my wife. She doesn't really know much about like DC comics or anything. She just watches movies for the sake of movies, which is fine. And she just wants to be entertained. And when John Cena was still alive at the end, she was like, because she's like, "Oh, John Cena, you suck," because she hated his character. And then I told her, well, too bad he's getting his own like James Gunn miniseries on HBO Max and the streaming service where they're going to develop his character and all that. And she's like, I don't want to develop his character. I hate his character. So I'm like, I'm not sure how many people are going to want that John Cena Peacemaker show after this movie. But I'm fine with it because I like seeing shows and movies about complex characters who maybe can go from one side to the other. They'll probably develop him more about why he is the way he is in his own show and all that, his miniseries or whatever. And they'll probably like have him do like a character turn where he finally stops just being like a lapdog for everything. Sorry about that. But yeah, they'll probably do like some kind of character turn for him, which is fine as long as it makes sense and development wise. And I'd like to know more about the character. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with the show. I didn't really need a Peacemaker show. Like I was fine with what he did in this movie. I didn't really need him to be alive, but the fact that they're doing one and we're getting one, I'm open to it still. I don't have a problem with it. This movie pretty much ends on a happy ending. The leftover members of the Suicide Squad get away, and that's it. Amanda Waller is much more lesser used here. She's not as good as that first movie, I don't think, because she got way more screen time in that first one. Here, she's pretty much just like the voice, like talking to everybody through the whole movie. That's really it, really. Um, but she does a great job still, Viola Davis does, but she gets much less to do here. But yeah, all in all, I'd give it a 4 out of 4. It's great fun. It's not a like fantastic written movie, but it doesn't need to be. For this type of movie that James Gunn is going for, a B movie comedy action flick, this is great fun. It's just fun. That's all it is. That's all this movie wants to be. And for that, I'd give it a 4 out of 4. Birds of Prey, I thought was good. I'd give it a 3 out of 4. This is better than Birds of Prey. It's more fun. Suicide Squad Part 1 I used to not like, but now I've warmed up to it. I think that one is a 3 out of 4. A good, dumb, like, explosion fest. Like, back when I did my DC rankings, I ranked that one as kind of low, where I was like, it's passable, it's okay. Watching it now, it's like, it's a good, dumb, fun David Ayer blockbuster blow-em-up movie. That's pretty much it. It's a David Ayer movie with a street crime thug-looking Joker that I think looks fine for a David Ayer type movie. Really, the DC universe is more like anthology films at this point, where they just let each director kind of do their own thing. Some of them they hack to pieces like Snyder's work and David Ayer's work, but at the same time, they're allowed to have their own style in each one of these movies. Like, none of these movies really feel the same at all. Each one feels like its own thing. Like, the closest is maybe Birds of Prey feels a lot like a slightly more R-rated version of the first Suicide Squad, with just the way it looks and stuff. But that's about it, really. But yeah, all in all, it was great fun. This movie's not doing very well at the box office at all, even for a COVID release. So we're probably not going to get a Suicide Squad 3. And to be honest, we really don't need one. Um, we really didn't need a Suicide Squad 2, really. But the fact that we got one, this is a great fun one. But yeah, I'm fine with it just stopping here. I really don't need a Suicide Squad 3. I mean, I don't really. Unless they got like some totally amazing new revolutionary idea where they can let yet another director come in and do a totally different thing. Because I don't want yet another James Gunn movie style Suicide Squad film. If there has to be another one, I would want it to be something totally different. In terms of like James Gunn movies, I don't like this as much as Super. I don't like this as much as Guardians of the Galaxy. I like this better than Slither, and I like this better than Guardians of the Galaxy 2, though. But yeah, all in all, that's my review, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you again.